Why do I keep saying give it a go? You know what I should give a go? Stop saying give it a go. Lies, 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 yeah. And the next book is also a 2019 release, or is it? No, the serial killer is stalking your hometown. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. If you are new here, welcome to the channel. You have joined us on a great day because there is a ridiculous book haul that is about to happen. I shopped the book outlet Boxing Day sale like I've never shopped before. It was like a blackout. It was like a blackout of book buying, and it's that incentive. Like the more you buy, the more you save. And I am a marketer's dream. But there's so many books here. Some are deliberate, some are totally random. There's a definite thrillery theme to this, as per usual. And because I am writing a mystery right now that is not locked roomish, but sort of isolated mystery-ish, I would say, there's definitely going to be a theme to those kind of books because I'm trying to study what works, what doesn't, really trying to study like the beats of a book and come at it as much from a story standpoint as from an education standpoint. So hunker down, get a cup of something, and let's rip through this ridiculous pile of books. First book I picked up, I actually saw on like a best of list, but I'd never heard of it before. And it's called Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey. And this is a boarding school for like wizards and witches and wizardry. I think I said wizards. And I actually read the first chapter. I read a preview of it before I bought this book. And it is, a murder takes place at the school, kind of opening pages. And one of the girls in the school, her sister is a PI who, it sounds like she's got a lot of baggage. I think there's some tension between the sisters, but PI sister comes to the school to help solve the mystery. And it sounds like all sorts of goodness. You know, boarding schools are a trope that I devour. And in the open-mindedness of wizards and witchcraft and other such things, I'm giving it a go. The next book I picked up is one that I've had on my radar for a while, and when I found it on Book Outlet, I couldn't say no, and it's called Rat Saw God by Rob Thomas. And for those of you who are Veronica Mars fans, this should sound familiar on multiple levels, because A, Rob Thomas is the creator, and B, there was an episode in season 2 called Rat Saw God. But this actually came out like 10, 20 years ago and has nothing to do with Veronica Mars. It is a YA contemporary kind of coming of age in 1996 that he wrote. And I don't know if I don't think it's like a day in the life, but basically we follow this guy Steve, and it says he's flunking, stoned, and brokenhearted, and he has to write a 100-page paper explaining about how he got from point A to point B. And it said, in telling the story, Steve will find his way back to who he wants to be. So super short. I love Rob Thomas's writing, his humor, everything that he did in Veronica Mars. So I'm super curious to read something else he's done. The next book I picked up is a totally new to me author that I came across, and it is Carol Goodman, and the book is called The Widow's House. And this is a married couple who leaves Brooklyn and comes up to the suburbs of New York in Hudson Valley, which is not where I live, but I know what it is. So familiar territory for me. And basically they wind up being caretakers for this giant, I think it's like an estate, ribbon house. And there is some dark, mysterious history to the house. So I don't know if this is actually supernatural or just like darkly atmospheric kind of a thing, but it's feeling like a little Death of Mrs. Westaway creepy house, Turn of the Key kind of creepy house, good atmosphere. I moved from the city to the suburbs many years ago, so I feel like I get these people and what they were craving by getting out of the city. So I'm excited to find somebody new. And I am a sucker for a book that takes place in places I live, have lived, or are super familiar with. The first book in the isolated mystery is also an author I've never heard of before, and this is Sue Fortin, and it's called The Birthday Girl. And it's basically like a girls' weekend. Sorry, this is really whiting out on us because of the light. But it is a girls' weekend, so some besties go away and it's for the 40th birthday of Joanne. And they all reluctantly accept the invite. Not really sure why, but if they were all willing to go, I'm guessing nothing is going to go wrong. So it says that it quickly becomes clear that this weekend is more than they are expecting. One of them is hiding a secret, and Joanne is planning to reveal it. So a weekend away in the cottage in the woods sounds like fun until no one can hear your cries for help. So this is also giving me slight Ruth Ware in a dark, dark wood vibes, and I am a huge fan of that book. That was her first book. Total mixed bag feelings, it seems like, reviews on that book, but I loved it. Like I said, I love an isolated mystery. Give me a girls' weekend. I think we've all done one of those. So I'm curious to find out what the secrets are, what happens to these girls, who lives, who dies. It says a party to die for, who will survive. As if a Rob Thomas book not about Veronica Mars wasn't enough, I picked up his Veronica Mars book. So this is the $1,000 Tan Line, and these books are written in response to the Kickstarter campaign that launched the Veronica Mars movie back in 2013, 2014, I want to say. I was one of those Kickstarters. I loved that movie. I love everything about Veronica. So I'm curious to read this. This takes place 10 years after high school. So she is back in Neptune. She's a PI. It is spring break. There's a mystery to be solved, and she is on the case. And from just reading the back cover of this is a totally different mystery than the spring break mystery in season 4 of Veronica Mars, which came out on Hulu last year. Veronica Mars is probably one of my most favorite TV characters ever. The relationship with her dad is one of my favorite relationships ever. So I'm really interested to read this. I did hear from Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand that Kristen Bell actually narrates the audiobook of the Veronica Mars books. So if you're interested in them at all and would prefer an audiobook, Veronica Mars real telling, I guess, with Kristen Bell doing the talking, that's an option too. But I saw this, snagged it, and I'm just excited to be a little bit more in Veronica's world. The next book is another private school murder mystery YA book, and this is People Like Us, and this is by Dana Melly. And I'm so sorry about the light, you guys. I'm trying to use natural light and it's just reflecting like crazy. But this is a book that focuses around a student named Kay Donovan. And Kay apparently has a whole bunch of skeletons in her closet, but she's managed to reinvent herself at this private school, and she's like a star soccer player, and she's part of the popular clique, and life is really good. And then somebody gets murdered, and whatever happens, it sounds like it's going to threaten her skeletons, and she's doing everything she can to sort of protect the secrets that she has. So I don't know if someone's after her per se or what all is happening. Again, always try and keep it a little bit vague when I'm going into a thriller. But again, this boarding school, private school trope, I'm just trash for, and it's starting to make me think maybe that's the kind of book I should write next. But anyway, I'm excited to dive into this one and see what it is all about. The next book I picked up because Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads raves about it so flippin' much, and when I saw it in Book Outlet, I had to go for it, and it's called The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. And this book is, I love the concept of it. So there is a guy and a girl. Do we care what their names are? Tiffy and Leon. And basically they share a flat, but Tiffy is there only at night because she works during the day, and Leon is there during the day because he works at night. And they never actually meet each other, but they correspond by leaving each other notes. So I think this is kind of a strangers to lovers kind of a book, and I love the concept of sort of falling in love with the person who is in your space and in your universe, but you never actually have met this person, even though they literally share the same space. So Chelsea has raved about this. I've heard lots of other great reviews on this book, and again, like I said, I saw it there. This was a 2019 release, which is crazy, you guys, and there's a couple 2019 releases in this pile. So as usual, Book Outlet is killing it, but I am looking forward to reading this. Perhaps for Contemporary-a-thon, which happens next month. So what a great pick for that one too. But yeah, here we go. The next book is one that I have seen over and over again in a whole bunch of different places. Like I've seen it in magazines, and I've seen it pop up like as Goodread recommendations, and I don't really feel like I've seen people talk about it too much on BookTube, but I've also seen super mixed reviews on it, but I just couldn't not get it because it still sounds interesting to me. So here it is. And it's called You Should Have Known. And this is by Jean Hanoff Korelitz. I have not read anything else by her either, but this is, I think it's like a psychological thriller. So she is a marriage counselor and basically finds out that her perfect life is a mirage. And she has written a book called You Should Have Known, in which she castigates women for not valuing their intuition and calls upon them to pay attention to their first impressions of men. So in a classic turn of events, she is the one who is actually living a life that is basically a lie. And it sounds like her husband has completely duped her, and everything she thought was her life is a complete lie. So it says, so there's a violent death, a missing husband, and in the place of a man Grace thought she knew, only a chain of terrible revelations. So public disaster, her life completely falls apart, and she needs to do everything she can to put it all back together for herself, for her kid, probably for her ego. But I'm really curious about this one, so reviews aside, don't really care. I am going to give it a go. A few months ago, I picked up Her First Mistake by Sandy Jones. Haven't read it yet, but I've got it. And her first book is called The Other Woman. And I have heard great things about this. I think I have talked about Alexa Dunn before, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole on her channel. She has an AuthorTube channel, but started doing book reviews and vlogs. And I've gotten some tremendously great recommendations from her. And this was one of the books on her channel. So again, saw it, snagged it. This is, you fall in love with a perfect man, and the other woman is his mom. sounds like his mom's a piece of work. So she will stop at nothing, I think, to keep you apart. Sounds like mom has a lot of issues. Twisty psychological thriller. Sarah Pekkanen said it's a twisty, delicious, fun read. Reese Witherspoon said it's one of the most twisted and entertaining plots. New York Times Book Review says it's whiplash inducing. So yes, 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 and yes. Sign me up, hook me up. Here it is, The Other Woman. The next two books I picked up are by the same author, and this is an author that a lot of you guys out there have told me I need to be reading, or why haven't I read this? And yes, I am missing out by not going down the B.A. Paris rabbit hole. So I picked up The Breakdown and Behind Closed Doors. And I want to say I don't know if Behind Closed Doors came out first, or this is the one that just like took off the most, but this is about sort of that perfectly married couple who seem to be too good to be true, and I think basically you have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. So I think Grace is super codependent on her husband Jack, and kind of can't do things without his permission. It sounds like he's super controlling. And it says, some might wonder what's really going on once the dinner party is over and the front door has closed. I am excited to finally give B.A. Paris a go. And she was one of the authors in my FOMO book author video that I did. So I do think I'm missing out with her. And then The Breakdown is a woman goes out in the night, I guess. Like she saw a car in the woods, and there was a woman inside who was dead. And it says she's trying to put the crime out of her mind. What could she have really done? Maybe unreliable narrator. I don't know. She's got some stuff back. Like she's got a lot of stuff going on. But it says the only thing she can't forget is that woman, the woman she might have saved, and the terrible nagging guilt. And the silent call she's receiving, as well as the feeling that someone is watching her. So again, a psychological thriller, twisty. It says suspense that gets in your head. I love dark and twisty suspense that gets in my head. As you guys know, I love the darkness. So B.A. Paris, welcome to my world. The next book is another one that I hate to say I have heard some not so good reviews on, but I've also heard some really good reviews on. And I hate to like poo-poo a book before I've even picked it up, but I also just want to be transparent, because I also feel like as soon as I hold up some of these books, you guys are going to comment below like, oh, I heard that that wasn't so good, or oh, I hear that's super great. And please comment away, because that's the whole point of all of this. But I did wind up picking up They All Fall Down. And this is by Rachel Housel Hall. And this is another isolated mystery. And I want to say it's also a 2019 release. It is. So again, Book Outlet with the new releases. And this is another isolated mystery. This is much more in the vein of And Then There Were None. And this is a group of strangers Yes, 6 strangers on a private island off the coast of Mexico, and a series of accidents start to happen, and one by one they all fall down. So very and then there were none-ish. Definitely one of my favorite Agatha Christie's ever. I love a twist on that plot. I love a retelling of that plot. No one will ever do it as well as she does, but I just am, again, I am just trash for these isolated mysteries. So I need to know. I need to know what is going on in this book. Another book that is in the land of the super random, and I actually found this one at the same time I found Magic for Liars, and it is called The Echo Room. And this is by Parker Pebyhouse. I'm sorry, again, you guys, I know I gotta work on the lighting here. So many things I need to work on with this channel. So this is a YA thriller, I guess. So it says a puzzle box thriller. And on the front, it says, the only thing worse than being locked in is facing what locked you out. So in this one, Rhett is at the Walling Home, which is a state-run boarding school where he learns how to keep his head down to survive. And Rhett wakes up locked in a room. And it's kind of, I guess there's like a sci-fi twist to it. It's kind of like a Groundhog Day type of thing also. He has no memory of how he got there. And it says he can't hide from the stranger in the next room or from the fact that there's someone else's blood on his jumpsuit. But worse, every time he tries to escape, he wakes up right back where he started. Same day, same stranger, same bloodstained jumpsuit. As memories start to surface, Rhett realizes that the logo on the walls is familiar, the stranger isn't a stranger, and the blood on his jumpsuit belongs to someone or something banging on the door to get in. So this is another one that's definitely a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but I am pushing myself to get outside my comfort zone because when I did it last year, I was just like rewarded so many times over. And there's just something about this that sounds intriguing to me. So I love the concept of it, and it sounds like it's gonna just like creep me out like crazy. And as much as I like hate being scared, I love being scared by books and movies and TV shows. So I'm giving it a go, obviously. I did read kind of the first couple pages of it, so I'm intrigued by this 100%. And I will let you guys know what I think when I read it. Okay, so we had The Other Woman. Now we have The Other Mother. And this is by Carol Goodman. Oh my God, didn't I say how I had never heard of Carol Goodman before and I just bought 2 of her books? Girl, look at you go. So apparently I am down with Carol Goodman, but this book sounds a little less Mrs. Parrish about the relationship between the 2 women. And this is 2 new mothers, 2 babies named Chloe, one giant web of lies and deception. So we have these 2 moms, Daphne and Laurel, who meet in a new mommy group, and they both have daughters named Chloe. And Daphne is just like, she's like, it sounds like the queen bee, totally perfect. Coincidentally, kind of like how Daphne Parrish was. And then Laurel is like insecure and uncomfortable and a little bit awkward, but Daphne like brings her under her wing and encourages her to join the gym, highlight her hair, and eat some kale salads. Way to go. And it says, soon the 2 women start to look alike, dress alike, and talk alike. But Daphne realizes only too late that being friends with Laurel will come at a price, one that she might not be willing to pay. So, sounds like Laurel's trying to steal her life. It says it's in the spirit of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, so that's kind of interesting to me. Also says it will appeal to fans of Shari LaPena's books, which I am, so apparently I am now a Carol Goodman fan, or I hope to be, because I snagged these 2 books by her. The next book I picked up is another one that is also close to home, and not just because it takes place in New York, but because I actually grew up with the author's younger sister, and the author was friends with my sister back in the day, and this is Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brunt. And I have seen this book multiple times. I remember when I saw it in Barnes & Noble, kind of on like a staff recommendation list. I was like, holy crap, I didn't know she wrote a book. And not only did she write a book, but she wrote like a New York Times bestselling, award-winning book. So curiosity got the best of me and I need to read it. And this takes place in 1987, not a thriller. This is probably going to be more, sounds like kind of like gut-wrenching, emotional story. And our protagonist, June, she's 14 years old, and her uncle, Finn, is a painter, And it says he's her godfather, her confidant, and her best friend. And then Finn dies. And June obviously is completely heartbroken, but at the funeral, she winds up meeting his friend Toby, and then Toby and June strike up a friendship, and she gets to know, I think, so much about her uncle and sort of explore more about his life. And it says, June realizes she's not the only one who misses Finn, and that this unexpected friend just might be the one she needs the most. So it sounds like a beautiful story. I'm very interested to read it. Curiosity on multiple levels. And also, this is probably one of the most beautiful covers I have seen in a long time. So that also is the first thing that grabbed my eye when I saw it. But I'm excited to have found this. I picked up CJ Tudor's The Hiding Place. This is another one where curiosity has gotten the best of me. So I read The Chalkman last year and I loved it. I just read The Other People in January and I loved it. And I have heard mixed bag on this, but I don't even care because I want to read it because I love CJ Tudor's writing. I love her storytelling. She's dark and atmospheric and I like her characters, and it's not that she even writes unlikable characters, but she just writes characters who do bad things, I guess I would say, but sometimes you can understand it. But it's definitely about sort of the lengths that you will go to for family, for friends, for yourself, for your own preservation, so to speak. So this is one, I don't even know too much about what it's about, but Joe winds up coming home. He had a gang of friends, and it says he got out and never looked back. So all these years later, he's coming back to town. I don't know if there was like a murder or like his sister disappeared or like something happened. So I will find out. Here we go. The worst day of his life wasn't when his sister went missing. It was the day she came back. Read the cover, Audrey. So I'm excited to read this. Like I said, I'm a fan of CJ Tudor, and I would like to complete my collection and just get all up to date on her books. And this is the one that I needed to do that. The next book I picked up is also likened to Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, which, by the way, I should probably read that one. And it's called The Beloveds, and this is by Maureen Lindley. And I have not heard of this one before either, and I will admit, this was a cover that grabbed my attention when I was browsing through Book Outlet. And this is kind of a tale of two sisters, it seems like, and it says an exploration of domestic derangement. How good does that sound? Domestic derangement. So it says it plumbs the depths of sibling rivalry with wit and menace. It will have you wondering if there's a length at which an envious sister won't go. So we have sisters Betty and Gloria. It sounds like Gloria is kind of the golden child, and it sounds like she kind of snagged some of Betty's life, including her husband. Dang, Gloria, not cool. And then Gloria inherits the stately family home, and Betty wants it back. So it sounds like a total power struggle between the sisters. Like it says, twisted, lengths that people will go to. Deranged. I could use some deranged reading in my life. But yeah, I really just love this cover, and the story intrigued me. The next book is Our House by Louise Candlish, and she is an author that I have had on my radar and have not read anything by yet. And I've listened to her on a lot of podcasts. So I saw this, I got it. This is like a twisted, this couple, I don't know if they're divorced or separated, but either way, they wind up keeping their house so that their children aren't as disrupted by the divorce, and they take turns living there. So the kids live there all the time, and then the parents kind of swap on and off, so the kids have that consistency. And one day when Fiona comes back, because it's her turn to be in the house, her husband's gone, her kid's gone, and there's like a whole new family living there, and there's just no explanation. She can't get in touch with her husband. There's no reason why these people should be living there. All her stuff is gone, and it says that she begins to unravel a dangerous web of lies, learning that her grand plan to protect her family has instead put it in jeopardy. So obviously we are domestic thrillery here because she's trying to figure out what the heck happened, never mind where her husband and her kid went. So this sounds really intriguing to me. Again, sounds kind of dark and twisty. So again, we're on a theme. Themes. I picked up Miracle Creek by Angie Kim, and this was the #1 book why I shopped the sale in the first place, because I didn't buy it on the Black Friday sale and I was kicking myself, and then it showed up on all these people's best of lists too, so I was so happy that I had placed the order. This is a literary courtroom drama. Debut novel, a woman accused of killing her autistic son. I'm so intrigued by this. Ever since I read Steve Kavanaugh's 13, I definitely got that like lawyery courtroom itch back again, because I used to devour Grisham books and any kind of like legal thriller, legal drama on TV. I love those kinds of shows, so I'm excited. This is another one with a stunning cover. I'm sorry if it's whiting out. Let me get out of here, but I'm excited to have this. Another YA thriller that I picked up is This Lie Will Kill You by Chelsea Pitcher. And I remember seeing this right before it came out, and it was being pitched as like Riverdale meets Pretty Little Liars. And this is another kind of And Then There Were None-ish type of story, I guess I would say. Although I feel like it's kind of like I Know What You Did Last Summer instead, because it's like 1 year ago there was a party, and at the party somebody died. So 5 teens are kind of lured away and in kind of like a escape room type of a way. It sounds like they're sort of lured away thinking that they're going to do, in that case, a team building exercise. In this, it's like a contest to win money, but really someone's lured them there to basically kill them, I think. So good luck to you, people. This is a book that I definitely have heard some not so great things about, but at the same time, I'm intrigued. And I mean, that Riverdale PLL thing got me. I love Lois Duncan, and this book was like, I think $2 or something like that. So it's here. I will let you know what I think of it. And yes, so This Lie Will Kill You. The next book I picked up is one I have not heard of before by an author I have not heard of before, and it's called Killing Kate, and this is by Alex Lake. And this is a serial killer book. Haven't read one of those in a couple of months. And this sounds uber creepy. So a serial killer is stalking your hometown, and he has a type. All his victims look the same, and they all look like you. So poor Kate comes home, broke up with her boyfriend, and she comes home to find out there's a serial killer in town. So she becomes convinced that she's being watched, followed even. Is she next? And could her mild-mannered ex-boyfriend really be a deranged murderer? Or is the truth something far more sinister? So this one, wow. Yeah. I obviously am intrigued by it, so I need to know. And I'm excited again for a new author. It sounds like she's got a couple books out there. And hopefully I will fall in love with her and have discovered somebody new. But we'll start with Killing Kate and see if Kate gets killed. Next one on my list is another one I've heard a lot about and couldn't resist it when I saw it on Book Outlet. And it's The Girl He Used to Know by Tracy Garvis Graves. And this is more contemporary. I don't know if it's romance per se, but we have Annika rhymes with Monica, is an English major at University of Illinois. She sounds a little bit Eleanor Oliphant, so a little awkward and anxious. She winds up meeting this guy Jonathan, and they have like this lovely romance when they're in college. And then something happens and they're not together, and it says, so a decade later, fate reunites them. She's living the life she wanted as a librarian. He's a Wall Street whiz, recovering from a divorce and seeking a fresh start. The attraction and strong feelings they once shared are instantly rekindled, but until they confront the fears and anxieties that drove them apart, their second chance will end before it truly begins. So this is another book that I've heard so many great things about, and I've seen it reviewed in so many places, and I've seen it here on BookTube, and I just kind of kept coming back to the cover, and it kept coming up as a suggestion for me on Book Outlet. Again, I've heard such great things about Tracy Garvis Graves, so I'm excited to have it, to have done it. Here we go. And the last book I got is another author I haven't read yet, but I've heard of, and this is a book that has very much been on my radar, and it's Gilly McMillan's I Know You Know. And this is all the tropes I love, so we're ending with a bang. There is a podcast going on here. There is a past and present mystery going on here. There is someone searching for the truth. So this sounds a little Tana French in the Woods. And our main character, his friends, Charlie's friends, Charlie and Scott were murdered 20 years ago. And their friend Cody is in present day sort of investigating them via a podcast. And there's a lot going on here, from the detective who was on the case years ago, kind of being forced to revisit the case and revisit all of his findings back then and revisit the conclusions he had back then. I have heard tremendous things about Gilly McMillan as a writer. storytelling, thrillers, all that great stuff. I'm excited for this. Ever since Sadie, I am just hooked on a podcast, reading about them, listening to them. So we are finally giving Gillian Macmillan a go, and I was thrilled to find the hardcover of this at Book Outlets. And you guys, finally doing it. That's gonna do it for today. And I mean, like, that's gonna do it. Like, it should have been done 20 minutes ago because that was a ton of books. But thank you guys for sticking through it with me, watching, listening. I would love to know what you guys think about any of these books, if you've heard of them, good, bad, otherwise, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, Contemporary-a-thon is next month, so a bunch of these books will apply for that. Thriller-a-thon is next month, so a bunch of these books will apply for that. But I'm excited to dig into them. And if you liked this kind of video, give it a thumbs up, because even though I'm doing a no spend January, all bets are off come February 1st. And there's so many books that I want to read. I did a bunch of videos about upcoming releases, which I'll link down below if you guys haven't watched those either. And you know, there's always books that need a home, and I'm happy to make them mine, or make my home theirs. But thank you guys for hanging out today and for watching. If you're not already subscribed and you want to get more of this kind of content, definitely hit that subscribe button down below. I would love to see you again soon. I'll be back in a few days with another video, and hopefully you guys will be here also. So thank you, everybody. Have a great one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.